The average American consumes about 3 meals a day, which translates into 1,095 meals a year. And that number does not include the additional snacks that many of us eat. These meals consist of a variety of meats, fruits, vegetables, and grains. This food is found in businesses all over the country, ranging from fast food retailers like McDonald's and Wendy's to fine dining establishments in Manhattan and all the way to Los Angeles. The majority of the population rarely pauses to think about the food chain supply from the farm to the consumer's mouth. The way that the cuisine is prepared tends to be more important. Food and the ingredients that go into a meal are found on farms all over the country, and the recent drought has created a negative chain of events that is hurting Americans. The drought is causing many crops like corn and soybeans to die, and because these crops are producing smaller yields, the prices of these crops are rising, and cattle farmers must pay more for the feed that is needed for their livestock, forcing them to sell their cattle at little to no profit. This domino effect then hurts companies because they have to pay more for the farming product, which in turn raises the prices of items for the average American consumer at the grocery store. Because of uncontrollable events like weather, many farmers need extra support or insurance. Every 5 years, Congress enacts a bundle of legislation, commonly called the Farm Bill, that sets national agriculture, nutrition, conservation, and forestry policy. The last Farm Bill was passed in 2008 and expires in 2012. This past May, U.S. Senator Debbie Stabenow of Michigan introduced Senate Bill 3240, formerly known as the Agriculture Reform, Food and Jobs Act of 2012, which was passed on July 10, 2012. This Farm Bill represents the most significant reforms in agriculture policy in decades. The bill ends direct payments, streamlines and consolidates programs, and reduces the deficit by $23 billion. It also strengthens top priorities that help farmers, ranchers, and small business owners, and contributes to the economic growth of our economy. Although S3240 has already passed in the Senate, the House cannot seem to agree on the terms of the bill. The argument within the House has turned into a Democrat versus Republican battleground. With the current drought, many farmers are waiting for a prompt resolution because they believe that this proposed legislation will provide the relief that they desperately need due to the damage being caused by the drought. Needless to say, farmers everywhere are in a rush to establish the new protocol and put up the much-needed safety net. No one thinks Congress is responsible for the bad weather plaguing farmers, but Congress does have the power to immediately resolve its differences and help farmers and the nation's consumers in the midst of this severe drought. The Senate bill is expected to lower the deficit by $23 billion, as noted earlier, whereas the House bill is projected to lower the deficit by $35 billion. Senate Bill 3240, much like the projected House bill, would repeal the direct payment system, which gives farmers federal support even if they do not plant any crops, but it would strengthen crop insurance to help farmers in instances of dropped prices and natural disasters, much like the drought we are currently experiencing. These changes would ensure that federal assistance benefited those truly in need. The proposed House bill differs in that it makes farmers choose between a revenue loss program, which would help to cover small losses until their insurance began to help, and a target price program, where the government would pay the difference between the target price and the market price, which would aid farmers in case there are multiple years where prices continue to drop. Farmers are trying to be patient while waiting for S3240 to come into effect, but many of them feel like Republicans and Democrats keep disagreeing and volleying the issues back and forth. The biggest argument right now is based on the cut to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, commonly known as food stamps. The House wants to cut $16.5 billion from the food stamps program, which will amount to a $768 billion savings over 10 years. Senator Stabenow states that the House bill takes far greater cuts in food assistance by changing eligibility rules so that some people truly in need will not receive the help their family needs. And Democrats agree that the cuts are way too extreme, and they do not want to take that much away from the program since it helps to feed about 1 out of every 7 people nationwide. Another big topic that Democrats and Republicans are arguing about is the drought relief measure. The United States is having one of the driest summers in decades. The drought covers about half of the country and is continuing to get worse. The drought means that pastures and grasslands are parched and streams are low. According to the United States Drought Monitor, 90% of corn and soybean plants have been damaged or ruined. This means that the crop prices for both plants have risen significantly, and livestock farmers are being hurt immensely, having to sell off animals at a loss in an attempt to save money by requiring less feed. Farmers are saying that the House is only trying to pass the drought relief measure to postpone the passing of the Farm Bill. The drought relief is an emergency support package for livestock farmers who have been devastated by the drought. Tim Walz, the Minnesota representative who voted for the Farm Bill, related the drought relief measure to patching a roof when it's raining. He and other Democrats are asserting that if the Farm Bill is passed, they won't have any need for standalone bills such as the one proposed to address the drought. The drought relief measure would help livestock owners by supporting them through one of the worst droughts that we've had, but Democrats are not convinced that this bill is necessary with the current need to agree on a new agriculture bill. Both the Senate and the House of Representatives are in a sprint to cooperate with each other in the attempt to pass a new farm bill before the old one expires on September 30th of this year. If the bill is not passed in time, then according to Chad Hart, an agricultural economist at Iowa State University, 90% of the U.S. Department of Agriculture's programs would be gone, and we would go back to parity pricing on our crops and livestock, which would mean there will be a tremendous amount of government support flowing out because parity prices are based upon what they were back in the 1920s. Think of those prices being inflated up to today's values. The likelihood of Congress letting this happen is very slim. Most likely, they will pass an extension of the 2008 Farm Bill until both the House and the Senate can agree on the terms of the new Farm Bill. If they can reach an agreement, then the bill will lower the deficit by tens of billions of dollars. If you have an opinion on the Farm Bill or the drought relief measure, then contact your local and federal officials at electedface.com. Comment on the concerns being addressed and make a difference in your government.